All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome. We have today Terrence Seamon. He is going to talk about discovering your strengths. It is 2022. However, this is pretty important whether you're 2021, 2020, or maybe you're ahead of the curve at 2023 and we just don't know about it, right? So this is really important. Please pay attention to what he is saying. I am recording from home thanks to COVID. Yay! It affects everyone no matter what. So please pay attention, share the information with your fellow job seekers, or maybe somebody that's not even in transition, thinking about it, somebody that's going to be in transition, or unexpectedly, they're starting out all over again. This is going to be a big help. So take it away, Terrence. Thank you so much for coming back to us. We tried it in November and it didn't work. We had some IT issues. So here we are again, and this is a good timing.
Thanks, Christine. It's great to be here with you, especially since you are quarantined at home, but glad to hear that you're feeling better. And I want to echo what you said about Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. This is a great way to start the new year, I think, with Christine Dykman and the Monmouth County Workforce Development folks. So it's great to be here. So if you're searching for someone that will change your life, like Terry Seamon or Christine Dykman, actually the good news is that person is right there in the mirror. It's you. And that's the focus of our program this morning is you, your strengths, your superpowers. And hopefully some of you already are well aware of what those things are. And so this session will be very affirming or confirming. Others of you perhaps may not have thought too much about it, of what your strengths and superpowers might be. And hopefully by the end of this hour and a bit, you'll have a pretty good indicator of what it might be so that you can do some follow-up work with your career coach, if you've got one, or your support group, if you've got one. And I certainly hope that those of you that are new to the job search are thinking about those two resources, a job coach and a support group, because it can be very helpful in today's highly challenging job market. What you're seeing here is a screen grab from Twitter, where last year, during a period of time when a lot of us were talking about personal branding, I shared with a bunch of folks the now classic 1997 article from Fast Company by Tom Peters called Brand You, or The Brand Called You, where Tom wrote that we are the CEOs of our own companies, me Inc. And to be in business today, our most important job is to be head marketer for the brand called you. And so although today's program is not, a program specifically or generally about branding, today's program will definitely set you on the path toward capturing and communicating your personal brand to the people that you meet in your career transition. A little bit more about what Tom had to say is on this screen here, and there's Tom himself. For those of you who don't know him, he's a real guru, co-author of the famous book In Search of Excellence from way back when. And what Tom has to say in this article in Fast Company, well worth tracking down and reading, is the good news is that everyone has a chance to stand out. And Christine and I, we want each one of you to stand out in your own unique and special way. Tom goes on to say everyone has a chance to learn about themselves, improve themselves, and build up their own skills. Everyone has a chance to be a brand worthy of remark. And I buy what Tom is talking about. I think he was way ahead of his time, having these thoughts back in 1997. But now in 2022, the issue of knowing yourself is really center stage. You really have to know yourself so that you can communicate who you are.
Terry, that used to be such a novel concept of branding and branding of you. And we never really heard of the CEO of me for many, many years. And now everyone's talking about it and how important it is. So if you're in the loop and you hear it all the time, then hopefully you did that.
Yeah. Well, it's something I've been working on for many years, going back probably into the 1990s when I came across a book. I still would recommend it to you, even though it's a golden oldie, called Is Your Genius at Work by Dick Richards. Is Your Genius at Work, for those of you taking notes. Actually, let me go over to here to chat since it's working for me today.
You know what? I was going to put it in. Is Your Genius at Work by who?
Genius at Work, I'm typing, by Dick Richards. Dick is a retired corporate executive, and now in his retirement, he's a painter. He paints and he shows his paintings in galleries and art shows and whatnot. So he's very happily retired. This book, Is Your Genius at Work, really was, again, I think ahead of its time in that what it's all about, it's a little workbook, is to help you discover deep within yourself what is your genius, meaning your unique, special gifts and talents that really make you remarkable, as Tom Peters might say. So I recommend it. Is Your Genius at Work may still be available on Amazon or wherever you buy old and used books. So that's me, Terry Seamon. I'm an executive career transition consultant. Sam says the book is available. Thank you, Sam. Excellent. I've been doing this type of work professionally since 2009, though in my earlier corporate career, I did this for many, many years as well. Josephine's asking, is that an updated version of What Colors My Parachute? They're two separate books, Josephine, and both worth having on your bookshelf. I'm the founder of
the author of What Color Is My Parachute. I haven't even read this book, but I recommend it because What Color Is My Parachute is a phenomenal book.
Oh, it's
middle school, for high school, for career changers. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yes. The author of What Colors My Parachute is Richard Nelson Bowles, B-O-L-L-E-S, Richard Nelson Bowles, who I think, I could be wrong, but I think he passed away, but was in his 90s. So he and Dick Richards, both very long-lived people. Probably part of the secret of their long life is that they retired happily and continued working and living a vital lifestyle in retirement, which is something I'm thinking about, because I don't know if Christine mentioned this at the top of this hour, but today's my birthday. Yep, today's my birthday. I'm turning six. I'm turning.
Happy
thank you.
Birthday.
Yes, I'm 67 years young, and my wife and I are indeed now thinking about and planning our retirement. So
wait, did Terry say it's his wife's birthday too?
It was 5 days ago.
5 days ago. Like, but you're still celebrating. I think
we
that's
are.
awesome.
Oh yeah, this is expanded Christmas time for my wife and me. It's like one holiday after another. We love it. So we're thinking about this all now. And yes, I would strongly encourage you to get a copy of What Colors Your Parachute. And those of you that want to delve further into today's topic, pick up Dick Richards' book, Is Your Genius at Work? So without belaboring too much about me, I do this professionally, but I also do this on a volunteer basis through my church, St. Matthias, here in Somerset, New Jersey, where I am the founder of the St. Matthias Employment Ministry, founded in 2007. And please, if we're not already connected on LinkedIn, find me there and let's connect. I'm very active on LinkedIn and would be happy to be connected with you and to be a resource to you in your career transition. All right. I wish I could tell you the name of this guy. He's got a YouTube channel. I think he calls himself the corporate recruiter or the CEO's recruiter, something like that. I think it's Bill something. He does not push his name out there, so he's very modest. But he's got great little videos all about the hiring process and job search. And he has one where the subject is, why do recruiters ask, what are your strengths? And I highly recommend you chase this down on YouTube. Just put in that question, what are your strengths? And you'll hit this guy's video. And it's not a very lengthy video. He keeps his videos nice and tight, which I appreciate. I'm sure you may appreciate it as well. And he has a particular point of view about what recruiters are looking for. And I would encourage you to go track that down. That's something we could talk about in this session today. In fact, let me throw that out there. Why do you think recruiters and hiring managers want to know from you what you consider to be your strengths? Just type your answer into chat or unmute and go ahead and hold forth. Why do recruiters and HR managers want to know what you think your strengths are? Christine Dykman says it's a time saver for them. Indeed. Yes, I could agree with that. Anybody else? Why do
That was just to start the ball rolling, guys. Come on.
That's good. That's good. Nope, that's good. Anybody else? Type it into chat or just unmute and say your piece. Karen Mackin says to place you in the best job for you and get the best talent for the client. Absolutely. April says can place you in your dream job. You betcha. Absolutely right, April. Yeah, I think you're all on the right track, and that's the track that hopefully we will proceed on as we go forward here this morning. So keep on adding those thoughts into chat, folks. We'll actually be using the chat quite a bit this morning. I have a couple of exercises planned very shortly, so keep your chat box open. Sam says to evaluate the match for the recruiter's client, the business. Amen. You hit the nail on the head there, man. So when you are starting a career transition, there's a lot you need to think about. There's a lot of moving parts. This presentation today does not cover them all by any stretch, but three of them that I consider to be some of the first things first kind of things are do a self-assessment. Look at yourself. What are my skills? What are my talents? What are my values? What are my interests? Where am I right now in my career? What do I want to do next? What do I not want to do next? Those are all kind of some of the elements of the self-assessment. You got to develop your sales material, like a resume or a LinkedIn profile. And what the sales material does is it not only records your work history, but these are the things that help to sell you to other people and other organizations. So that's a first things first kind of a thing. And then there's now something we're much more aware of than we ever were in years gone by. And that is, how can you sum up in let's say a brief statement or an elevator pitch perhaps, how can you sum up what your true talents are that will make you memorable in networking conversations and in interviews, make you the person that they see as the answer to their prayers. And so what is all that? That's the personal branding part. So just want to mention that again, that this presentation today is right at square one of your job search. Now, if you've been searching last year or maybe even longer, and you're thinking, well, then this is not for me because it's not the beginning. That's okay. You can always go back to square one. And sometimes it helps, especially if you're not making progress, not getting traction, just hearing a lot of crickets around you during your job search. It's not a bad idea to go back to square one and just go back to some of these basic things like self-assessment. How's my resume doing? Am I communicating my personal brand? And there's some other things, but I thought I would just start there. So
I love that statement, Terry, because a lot of times we do hear crickets, and
yeah,
we have the resume and everything is perfected, and yet we're not hearing anything.
yeah.
So going back to that square one may help to bring other things to light that we didn't even see before, or maybe we want to make a change and we're not really sure how to incorporate that. So I love what you just said.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad it rang a bell for you, because, and just personally, myself, in the numerous career transitions I've been through over the course of my career, I found it often helps to just circle back to those first things first kinds of things, review them, share them with others. If you're working with a coach, that's a great resource. If you're working with a small support group of 2 or 3 other people, that's a great place to circle back to and just go over these things again. Because what personal branding is all about, just to kind of put that one last nail in the box, it's really the self-marketing piece of this whole process of job search. It's putting together all of the things you've achieved, your expertise, where you've worked, what you've done over the course of your career, so that hiring managers and recruiters and colleagues that you're reaching out to will know these 4 things about you: what you are all about, what you stand for, what you have accomplished and are capable of achieving going forward, and why you are the best person for a particular opening or company that you have your eye on. So when we're thinking about a job, we often think about what we want from that job. And it's very important to think about that and really think about that in detail. What do I need? What are my financial needs, geographic needs? Do I need to work from home? Do I need flexibility there? What are my values? What are my career goals? What are my interests and passions? There's more to that list of what you want from a job. But don't forget to also think about, what do I bring to a job? What do I bring to a job? I bring my life experience. I bring my personality. I bring my education. I bring my skills. So there's a lot we bring to a job. It's very important to inventory that and really have a very good sense of what it is you bring to a job, because all of that is all of your selling points. Let's look at skills, because skills are really the pathway into strengths. What are skills? Skills are things we've learned to do with competence over the course of time. We may have acquired these skills when we were quite young, like riding a bike. Maybe we acquired them in school, or we acquired them on earlier jobs that we were in. But whatever they are, they typically fall into these categories. There are lots of ways of thinking about skills. A general categorization scheme I came across years ago I like, because it's simple, and it says there are 3 kinds of skills. There's technical skills like writing computer code, or making tools, or translating from one language to another. There are functional skills related to a functional area, like selling automotive products or automobiles, or doing scientific research, for example. And then there are personal skills: persuading, listening, negotiating, collaborating with others, creativity. Is big long list. All of these are big long lists. And my reason for now putting the focus on skills is I want us to start getting closer and closer to this topic of strength. So to do that, as I mentioned earlier, I have 3 little exercises planned. And here's exercise number 1. To do these exercises I've got planned, what I'd like to ask everybody to do is open up your chat box and get ready to type. And I want you to think about the question I'm going to pose, and then write your answer into chat. And Christine and I will monitor the answers as they come in, and we'll comment on them as well.
So Terry, there's no treadmill or weights involved, correct?
Exactly.
Exercising. Okay.
This is a mental exercise.
All right.
So exercise number 1. What would you say are 3 of your favorite skills? Skills of yours that you really enjoy using. For me, I'll just start the ball rolling by putting 3 of mine into the chat box. You can see. I'm typing in and now sending to you all. Here's 3 of mine that are real favorites. Presenting, like I'm doing right now. Facilitating, where I might be running a meeting, could be a small meeting or even a large meeting. And then coaching, working one-on-one or with teams to help improve performance, whether it's job search or whether it's teamwork in a company. So those are 3 of my favorite skills. What are 3 of your favorite skills? Think about that and then type them into chat, please. All right, we're getting some interesting ones coming in here, Christine.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Creating seems to be pretty popular there, which is awesome. We have a lot of creatives here creating all kinds of different things. Analyzing.
Okay, Karen's just shot by my chat. It's a client something, client service.
Client service.
Good. And Karen is an expediter. All right, keep them coming, folks. What are 3 of your favorite skills?
Organization, mentoring, and collaborating. Love that.
Very good. And Sam's got aligning technology with business. Very good. Because organizations run on their technology these days. Very important. Wow, a lot of good stuff coming in here. I hope you are all following this. And one other thing I would encourage you all to do is save the chat. Have you told folks, Christine, how to save the chat?
You know what? I did not, because I normally send a thank you note to everyone attending with the chat attached. But if you would like to do it right this second, or when you join, there are 3 little dots in your chat box. If you press those 3 little dots, it says save chat.
There you go.
Save your chat. There you go. It's very easy.
Yeah, it really is. Once I learned how to do it, I kind of slapped myself in the head. Like, how did I miss that?
You know what? Yeah. I think that your chat gives you a lot of examples of things that you like to do, but you didn't have a word for it. So it might spark some new ideas that you can include for your own personal brand.
Exactly. You said exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. No, it's perfectly fine. I love making these presentations in partnership with you, Christine, because our minds often are right on the same wavelength. Great stuff, folks. Yeah, please, I hope you save all of this and look at what everybody had to say. Everybody here on this Zoom today is a different person, a unique individual, a special set of skills and talents and gifts. And so each one of these is unique to the person who wrote it in. But as Christine said, what somebody else just typed in might trigger something for you about what your strengths are. So that's the my favorite skills exercise. Keep track of what you typed, because there's another exercise coming up that's sort of the companion to this one. But what have we just done? What have we just done? Let's turn to this topic of strengths. What are strengths? In presenting this information now about strengths to you all, I'm standing on the shoulders of the Gallup organization, Gallup. Gallup, many years ago, I think, was the very first research organization to jump into the topic area of strengths. Some of the early books, I'm trying to think, I'm going blank on the name. If somebody on the call is great at fast research, get us a title of one of the, I think it was called the Strengths Finder. Strengths Finder.
Strengths
Sam,
Finder, yes.
are you out there? Because you're real fast on the draw. David, you got there first. Good man. Strengths Finder. Yeah, the Gallup started to do research into this area. There's a backstory behind that I won't tell. Take much time. But what they found is what I'm about to say. Here's what strengths are. Strengths are skills of ours that we have. We have it right now, that we are especially good at, that we really enjoy using, that strengthen us when we use them. Meaning, hey, let's look at that word strengthen. We feel energized. We feel happier. We are at our best. We feel alive and we love using them. I mean, look at me. I feel like right at this moment, as I'm using a couple of my strengths, that I am so happy to be here. I'm really enjoying this. And I hope my energy and enthusiasm are coming across to all of you. So that's what it looks like when you are in that strengths zone. It's skills of yours that you're very good at, that you really enjoy using. And when you use them, you get stronger.
You know,
So,
Terry, I took that Strengths Finder from Gallup. There is a fee attached. I'm not sure how much because it was so long ago, but it does kind of go through everything that you are good at.
Yeah.
And it ranks them, which is wonderful. And
Yep.
there's other assessments that you can take to figure out what your strengths are. And do they match? Do they conflict? Are they kind of sort of the same? And when I was taking it, just like you said, what are your best days at work? What are your favorite days? And we tend to think about the negatives and the worst days as opposed to the positive days. But when you feel energized, when you had a really great day, you knocked it out of the park, what were you doing?
Yep,
What skill
exactly.
were you using? And that's how you can figure out what your strengths are.
Exactly. So I'm definitely standing on their shoulders.
Mhm.
Yes, there are other strengths finder type instruments
Mhm.
out there. I don't at the very moment have any particular ones that I would recommend. I would point you all toward the Strengths Finder book. Yes, I think there is a fee to using or doing their questionnaire. I'm sorry, know off the top of my head what the cost is. But even if you just check out the book
I don't either.
and then do the kinds of exercises that we are doing right here today, just do these perhaps again with your coach, with a small support group, you're going to get the same effect, the same benefit, the same outcomes. Maybe not using Gallup's terminology, but you're going to get very, very specific outcomes for yourself that you can use in your own self-marketing. I believe a hand was just raised.
Yes. Did you see
What
it?
was that?
Josephine?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was me. Do you mind if I interject with a question?
No, go ahead, Josephine, no problem.
Okay, Terrence, you had said that you've had various employment endeavors throughout your career. And the fact that you said that makes me think of myself because I have worked in various places. And in the past, people would say, oh, a red flag goes off. Why don't you have any, why aren't you building a career in any one place? But there are numerous reasons anyone can give to that. And in this day and age, it's more acceptable than it used to be in the past. Now red flags don't go off. Now people say, well, you're marketing your skills and you find some type of connection between all your jobs and you bring it and it helps build your career or it helps build your skills, add on your skills, you learn more, you can transfer your skills. So now that we're talking about strengths and what we're good at, I think people still have the idea that if you don't fit into a workplace, that it's a failure on your part, when it's not necessarily a failure. I start questioning the interview process in the beginning. What are you looking for? Now, I'm more vocal than I used to be in the past. In the past, I hardly ever said a word when I first started out in my early 20s because I knew nothing. I was a blank slate. I had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
School only gives you an academic education is great, but depending on where you're going with it, you really don't know anything until you start working. So now, all these years later, 30 years later, I do better on job interviews than I used to because I know what to base how I can sell myself better.
Good.
And I have something to back it up with. I have experience.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think people need to realize that. Yesterday I had an interview, impromptu, and I kind of I'm more assertive than I used to be in the past
Good.
with interviewers. And I'm starting to realize a lot of interviewers, some of them, not a lot, but some of the ones I've had are poor interviewers.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on how they're asking a question, maybe they're in a rush to fill a position, and other times they don't seem serious about filling a position with the right person. I had the interview I had yesterday, 3 different positions for the same company, organization, profession, practice, whatever you want to call it. And I was trying to find out what the distinction is between each position. I had read the job description, and the woman was just not being very whatever. I had to like assert myself a little more, give a little background information as to why I was interested in working there. She didn't
Good
even
for you.
seem to care. She
You know-
almost seemed like she wanted to fill a position like I was a cashier at a supermarket,
Oh.
not caring why I wanted the position. Do you know what I'm saying?
Josephine, you've raised a lot of really excellent points. Christine, do you happen to remember off the top of your head whether you have any upcoming speakers that are going to address the interviewing in
Yes,
today's job
next
market?
week we have actually next week, Why Can't I Get That Job by
Oh.
Alex Freund.
Oh,
Yes.
good one. Good
So
one.
he is speaking
Josephine,
about the interview process.
yeah,
All of our speakers that we present here are job seeker speakers, and they talk about the
Yeah.
job seeker process.
That's right.
There are a ton of variables, as Terry had said, as you had just stated, Josephine,
yeah.
that are not in our control.
That's right.
And a lot of what you just said is so much the business fault or the
Yep.
business thinking. And we don't have control as job seekers over those processes. And we do have control over branding and knowing our strengths. And that's what we're talking about today. We can only prepare and do what we can, but when we get to the interview, which Alex will talk about next week, he'll kind of guide you on what you can say or persuade an interviewer or the business. But in the end, it's their final call. So you can do what you can do, but you only can control you. You can't control everybody else.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and that is a problem. Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Well, one of the things, Josephine and everybody else that comes back next week for Alex's presentation that you'll want to bring up with Alex is this topic of how do I, the applicant, influence the interviewer?
Yes.
And Alex actually is recently starting to talk about that topic. I heard him address it recently in another talk. So he may be planning to cover it, but bring that question with you to next week's, and I think you'll have a really stimulating conversation. Alex knows his stuff when it comes to interviewing. He is definitely the landing expert.
Yes,
All right, I
absolutely.
appreciate that. I appreciate your input, and I have already signed up for that.
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see you then.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on. Knowing your strengths is not just a nice to know, folks. It's not just a nice to know. Gallup initially, and now many other organizations and experts in the field of strengths pretty much all agree that when you are aware of your strengths and utilizing them in the work that you do, it has lots of benefits for you as an individual, for your team, and for your organization. Knowing your strengths can boost your health and happiness in your job. It can promote greater engagement in your job. It can make you feel more satisfied at work and feel like, when your feet hit the floor in the morning, you can't wait to get there, whether it's still in your pajamas if you work remotely, or getting on the road to fight traffic to get to the office. And it can support your performance and productivity. So knowing your strengths is more than just, fluff or nice to know stuff. It really has some extraordinary benefits. Smart organizations are finding out about this as well, and are now modifying their cultures so that they play to people's strengths more. And one of the things, Josephine, everybody else who's actively interviewing, that you want to be on the lookout for and ask questions about is to find out whether the company you're interviewing with is a strengths-based company that is looking for people to play to their strengths. And there are ways that you can find out about that. Ask Alex next week how you can ask questions in an interview, find out more about that, because it'll be a win-win. If you land a job where you're using your strengths and the company is encouraging you to use your strengths, that to me is a win-win. And there are lots of questions that different strengths-based experts have come up with to, inventory within yourself, like what are the skills you most enjoy using? That was our first exercise. What work do you enjoy doing the most? Some people might say, I have a client I'm working with now, he might say, what I love doing the most is gardening. Well, he's not a gardener professionally. Professionally, he's a warehouse manager. But what his answer to that second question is gardening. And I said to him, let me change his name. I'll call him Phil. Phil, let's talk about gardening. What do you like about gardening? And he'll go on at length about what he likes about gardening. And so I'm encouraging him to, peel that onion back. What is it about gardening that really is speaking to who he is in his innermost self, his genius, as Dick Richards says in the Is Your Genius at Work? What are you really good at? What do you do differently from others who do the same sort of thing that you do? The more different we are, the more there is a distinction, the more there is a differentiation. One of my favorite examples of this is an individual who facilitates another group like Christine's group here in New Jersey, who describes herself as the office octopus, because it's like she has 8 arms and can do multiple things at once to get things done in her office. And I love.
And that's not me, by the way. I know who that is. It's not me.
Right. No, that's real, and that's
it is real.
That's a result of that person over a period of time, probably years, thinking about what is it that she does differently from others who do what she does. Because there's a ton of people out there that do what she does. And then what do you do that you're very confident in, so much so that others really have trust in you when it comes to that? So that's my lead into exercise number 2. Coming up momentarily. There it is. What others would say. So exercise number 1 was what we would say about ourselves, but it's very helpful in this type of work to turn the tables and find out what others would say. So this is actually a 2-part exercise. So part 1 coming at you. Let's do the same thing. Open up chat, think about the question, and then type your answer in. Okay. Think about somebody that you've worked with who knows you pretty well. How would they describe you? Just in 1 or 2 or 3 words. How would that person, that coworker of yours who knows you very well, how would they describe you? So just 1 or 2 or 3 descriptive words is what we're looking for here. Let me open up the chat.
Resourceful. Love that. That's
Very
a great
good.
word.
Very good, Simone.
Intelligent, efficient, organized, professional, reliable. I hear that one too, Ralph. Reliable, creative, organized, empathetic. Ooh, that's a really good one.
That's especially important in today's organizations, Christine.
Yes,
Empathy.
yes. Supportive, creative. So some people said that they are creative, and some people say that others would say they're creative. Love that.
That's right.
Dependable. Multitasking.
Hmm. Good.
Trusted to
Okay.
job done.
Very good. So as perhaps some of you are already noticing, your answers to number one, question, exercise 1, and your answers to exercise 2A can be put side by side, and you can
Mhm.
start to see perhaps some interesting patterns or threads that might already be potentially translatable into a branding statement for yourself.
So Terry, let me ask, if others would say that about you, but you don't necessarily see yourself in that same light or same adjective descriptor, would you incorporate that into your personal brand as a strength or not?
You should definitely think about it. If you hear something from another person who you've worked with and knows you well, that you think, oh, come on, that's not me, I would still think about it, because there might be something there. Maybe the way they said it rings wrong to your ear, but maybe behind what they're saying, there's something there. In fact, I'd say sit down with them over a cup of coffee or a virtual coffee and ask them, tell me what you meant when you said that word, and let them explain it. And you never know.
I'm asking, Terry, because Karen has, should be a life coach. Well, okay, great, but maybe Karen does not want to be a life coach. She just wants to go into her job and go home. I'm not really sure. I'm just saying it,
Yeah.
Karen. I'm not putting a pinpoint on you. That's why I'm asking. Okay, so a life coach could be more to something else, is what you're saying, Terry?
Yeah, just you, Karen or Christine or me, you should think about what that other person had to say, and maybe even better, chat with them about it. Find out, what they meant by that. What were they thinking? What examples were they calling on that they then, is behind what they said? And I would say, as my dad used to say, put it in your pipe and smoke it. You may ultimately dismiss it, and that's okay. But don't dismiss it out of hand until you've given it a little bit of a think. All right, good work on exercise 2A. Exercise 2B, again, in the same vein of what others would say. The question now is, and again, think about it and type in your answers into chat. And this hopefully will really kind of clinch it for you as far as your strengths, although there is a third exercise coming up. And so the question is, each one of us is, in our own way, a go-to person for something. What are you the go-to person for, that others go to you for consistently? What do others go to you for? Think about that. And again, just a couple of words is all we're looking for.
Resolution. I love that.
Whoa, Mary, resolution and execution. Wow. Mentoring.
Advice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Pasquale, getting things done. Nice.
Solution, Sam, does that mean that you need to have all the solutions?
No, means I have to get the solutions.
There you go.
You know who to go to get the solutions. Love
And how to
that.
get
Somebody else
the
did that.
solutions done.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes,
All
and
right.
perhaps in some situations, helping that person to find a solution.
That's a good thought too. Love that.
That's
Leadership.
yeah. Difficult issue resolution, says Sam. Or says Ralph, I'm sorry. They're shooting by so fast here. Josephine, you're thinking about it. You're not sure, but you're thinking about it. Good. I'm happy to see those two words, not sure, because we're kind of moving fast today. I'm trying to keep this to an hour and a bit. So the kinds of thinking and exercises we're doing here today, I strongly encourage you, keep doing this. Keep thinking about these things. Work on them some more by yourself, with a coach, or with a small support group that you can form to travel through your career transition with. And doing these questions, a little bit more than we're doing them today, I think you'll find very beneficial to helping you get to the point where you feel comfortable communicating your unique value proposition to others. Well, great answers, everybody, to question 2. What great stuff there. And again, further proof that you've got to save this chat and Christine's going to send it to you, which is wonderful. So heading toward exercise number 3 and the finale of today's presentation. So discovering your strengths is, it's really a process of looking within yourself. And I would encourage you to go all the way back to when you were a kid. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Some people have said to me when I asked this question, I don't know. When I was a kid, I just wanted to play. I'd never thought about the future. And that's fine. We're all different. But chances are, if an adult said to you, so Johnny, what do you want to be when you grow up? You probably had an answer. So think about that. Because that answer, whatever that was, I want to be a cop, I want to be a scientist, I want to be an astronaut, whatever that was, might have some resonance to who you are today and what you want to be next in the next chapter of your life. We just did question bullet number 2, what skill or capability of yours have others come to you for? So that's the go-to question. What skills do you most enjoy using? That was exercise number 1. What part of your work makes you feel most alive, energized, and happy? And so we come to the third and final exercise of this little workshop. This exercise comes right out of the book, What Color is Your Parachute? And it is the recommended way by that author, Richard Nelson Bowles, to discover your strengths. And he says, your strengths are embedded within your accomplishments. So when you think about an accomplishment of yours and then open it up and look inside that accomplishment, you will find your strengths. And if you do enough of your accomplishments, he recommends doing 3 to 5 accomplishments, you will find inside those accomplishments your strengths. So if we were doing this live in a big room, I would get you into groups of 3. That's my trademark. Some like Christine have seen me do in the past. But here in the virtual world, we can't quite do that as easily. So I'm going to ask a volunteer to come off their mute, tell us briefly a specific accomplishment of theirs, and then we, the listeners, are going to open up the chat box and type in the skills and strengths that we are hearing when that person tells that story of that accomplishment. So is there a brave soul out there who would unmute and tell us one specific accomplishment story of yours?
Under 60 seconds so that we can keep on time and get everyone started with their day.
Exactly.
Somebody's got to be ready with an accomplishment. Come on.
Have a specific accomplishment you can think of, a time that you got something done specifically for some client or a team, time you overcame a challenge, time you solved a problem. Don't be bashful.
I can do this.
All right, Sam, give us one specific accomplishment of yours. Please keep it tight and concise.
Okay, I walked into a new role appointed by the CIO. The clients were extremely dissatisfied with what was being delivered to them, and I had to innovate a governance body which the clients made up to direct the work being done, and then resulted in them being far more satisfied and having to own responsibility for what was being delivered.
As you listen to Sam's accomplishment story, what skills did you hear him use there? I'll start it off with problem solving, Diane says diplomacy. Analytical says April. Karen, leadership. Simone, customer sat. Jim, innovation, creativity. Charlene, analytical. Mary, resolution. So now you by the way, thank you, Sam. Appreciate your courage in doing that. And now you can see what how this exercise works. You literally take a specific accomplishment, you share it with somebody, and they listen, and then they say back to you the skills they heard in the story. And looking at this chat stream that's going by, the word analytical showed up several times. Solutions or problem solving came up a couple of times. Resolution. I think we're getting at it. What do you think, Sam? Are we all, as the crowdsourcing entity that we are we getting at the skills and strengths?
I think so.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to watch.
Yeah, isn't it? and I'm glad you said that, because I really encourage you to keep doing this particular exercise. Break open a couple of different accomplishments with another person or a small group and let them listen and feed back to you what they're hearing. And you might disagree with what they're saying, but that's okay. Just make a list and just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because what you're getting is a real gift. You're getting a look at yourself through the eyes and ears of some other people. And people sometimes know us better than we know ourselves. Sam, you want to add something?
Yeah, I'm just thinking this would be a good tie-in with all the stories you're supposed to do for interviewing, in my mind, because you can build these stories and then get people's reactions to them to build your background, and then you have a focused approach.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, this is a very helpful exercise. Helpful to get to know your own strengths, helpful to prepare yourself with PAR stories to use in interviews, PAR or CAR or STAR, depending upon which formula you like to use. Absolutely. So moving toward the big wrap up here, there are 5 questions that it seems to me that when we start to get our arms around them, it can change everything. It changes how we look at ourselves, and it changes how we approach the marketplace if we are a job hunter or a career changer. Who are you, right? Who are you? What is your unique value proposition, the things about you that are distinctive, that make you marketable and different from your competition? What do you love to do that you feel very qualified to do for others? Who do you do it for? Who is your audience? Who is your client? Who is your desired market? What do they want or need that they can come to you for? And how do they benefit, change, or transform as a result of what you can give to them or do for them? So as you get your arms around these 5 questions, it can change everything. Ruby Ho, great name. This is an actual real person, a consultant, said that your strengths are your superpowers, folks, representing something built into you, built in, that is recognized not only by yourself, but by others. And one of my favorite authors, Margie Worrell, who's got a great accent, I think she's from Australia, and writes terrific blog posts and books and does YouTube videos, once said that we are each endowed with a unique combination of gifts and talents, strengths and skills, personality and experience we can draw on to elevate our own lives and lift the lives of others. I love that book she's holding up there. You've got this. What a great name for a book to really help you take charge of your career and what you want to do next. So my message in a nutshell today is know yourself, know what you're meant to do. And one of the ways to get at that is to work your way around this diagram, knowing your gifts, which was our focus today, your passions, what really excites you, what you care the most about, and your purpose. You know, what you believe your calling is, why you think you're here on planet Earth in this lifetime. And there are other circles that are not shown in this diagram. But thinking your way around this particular diagram, to my mind, is definitely one of those first things first activities for your career transition. And I hope you got some value from today's presentation. Before we open it up for open Q&A, I got the permission of Christine at the beginning to do a little commercial. Next week, I'm doing two presentations on Monday, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. In the morning, for the PSG of Central New Jersey, I'm doing Smart Moves. And in the afternoon at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be having a conversation with Tony Calabrese about job search strategy. So I hope if your Monday is not already filled with appointments, I may see you at one or both of those events.
They are both awesome networking groups. I have attended both. And the Smart Moves, I believe Terry has done that presentation for us at Monmouth County. But I will also tell you that Tony Calabrese, he is an awesome speaker and facilitator and career coach. And you should definitely check him out. We try to bring you different speakers, different topics, but there's so many out there that you should take advantage of as many as you can, especially if you are working from home, just have it on in the background. If you're in job search, pay attention, listen to what the speakers are saying and do those exercises or whatever you need to do to move forward, because they're really trying to help you and they're giving you some great free information. So take advantage of it.
Very good.
Professional Services Group. It's in the chat box. That's the one on Monday morning.
Yep.
And you can Google it and find out all their meeting dates. There are quite a few in the state of New Jersey, and
That's right.
they're really great. So definitely
Yeah,
check them out.
It's a great group, and Josephine, you heard me say earlier that I've been through several career transitions myself, 5 actually, and during 2 of them, it was very helpful to me to join the PSG organization as a resource to help me find my next job. And so I'm a graduate 2 times of PSG and a big supporter of that group. And as Christine said, I think they do wonderful work. And if you're free on Monday morning, please come and join me for Smart Moves.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So any other questions or comments?
Anyone? Oh, I got a hand for April.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you, April.
Okay. My background, very diverse. I've been out of school since 1980, started in secretarial, moved through different reigns of employment, not that many. I've had long-lived employments, which transitioned me into DoD, proposal marketing coordinator type positions, worked with many computer systems, softwares, learning on the fly to comply with customer delivery of whatever products. I've been very fortunate that I can sit in front of a computer, put anything in front of me, I can teach myself, learn it, hit deadlines.
That's great.
I then, in 2002 through 2008, took a hiatus, raised 2 kids until the youngest was in school full time, tried looking to get back into the workforce, and found with the 2008 recession, a lot of companies weren't hiring that middle management like I'd been doing. And by happen chance, I ended up taking a job, just being introduced to a store manager at Walmart, had 10.5 years with them basically. Started as a department manager, zone manager. I had 6 years as assistant manager in various stores. As of August, I've been unemployed, okay? They eliminated the assistant manager position. I've been trying to get back into the office environment, and I still have all those skills. I still use computers through my home. I help my husband in his home-based business. I still have those skills and the drive to do the work. I've applied for positions that I have the tit for tat talent to do the job. But I guess what I'm finding, and I get some interviews, but I'm not being called in for that second one. And I think, and I'm not getting any direct answer from the agents at the hiring facilities, is I think it's my employment gap being in retail for 10 and a half years. How do I overcome that so that I have the skills and the talent to do what's required to do the jobs, but I'm not getting that second interview past the hiring agencies?
A few thoughts come to mind, and then I would invite anybody else that would like to comment. One, April, is you've got a great career story. Just listening to your story, I think you've got so much to offer. You've done so much, you've learned so much, you've accomplished so much. So I would encourage you to do what we talked about today. Focus on your strengths, number one. Number two, definitely come next week to Alex's presentation on interviewing, because if there's something you need to tweak about how you're interviewing, Alex is the guy to help you with that. Of course, it'll be in a group setting like this, so he might not be able to give you the individualized answer you want, but be on the lookout during that presentation. He is so knowledgeable about tips and techniques for interviewing. You know, next week, put your question right into the chat. I'm getting first round, not getting invited to second round. Help! Alex will have something for you to think about. And Alex is a career coach who I don't want to, sell for him, but I'm sure he'd be happy to connect with you one-on-one.
Thank you.
And then a third thought is really to don't go it alone. I don't know if you're going it alone. I suspect maybe you are. And when I say don't go it alone, all during this last hour, on several points, I mentioned over and over again a couple of things. I'm going to say one more time, and I'm going to stop repeating. Get a coach, everybody. It doesn't have to be a coach you pay for. It's just another person, somebody who can be your partner in this process. So get a coach, or get a small group, 2, 3, 4 people that you meet with on a regular week in, week out basis. Christine and I have a colleague named Paul Sakala. Paul wrote a little book on this topic and gives talks on it that he calls work search buddies. I love that phrase, work search buddies. When you are in job search, having a small support group of work search buddies is so, so helpful. I like to say it improves your AIM, A-I-M, accountability, inspiration and ideas, and motivation. A small group improves your AIM. And that's something you need to do, is to have a very sharp sense of what your aim is in a job search. I'll stop there and see. Anybody else want to offer April some wisdom?
Terry, I think that you hit it on the head. Definitely having somebody else in your corner to bounce ideas off of. You're not alone. And to put it into perspective, nobody is above having a coach, no matter what position you are. You have to think of superstars, singers. Kim Kardashian has a coach.
Yeah.
Adele has a coach. Rihanna has a coach. And it's not a matter of them being the best or improving it. It's a matter of them bouncing ideas off of how they sound and what their song lyrics are, whatever is troubling them to get to that next step. So it doesn't matter what position you are, everybody needs a coach.
Yep, agreed. Olympic athletes all have coaches.
Yes, exactly.
Hope that was helpful, April. Connect with me on LinkedIn and get me to be a resource to you. Anybody else, a question or comment, or just some chunk of wisdom you'd like to share with the group?
I have something to say. I didn't raise my hand though. This is
Go ahead,
Josephine.
Josephine. Go ahead.
I just want to say, with regard to what I said before, I don't know if you remembered about that interview I had.
Yeah.
I have experienced a lot of hacking in the past couple of years. I've seen it on television. I've seen it reported. So I know I'm not the only one who goes through it, even though sometimes you feel that way. I've had a lot of employment interviews that made me very happy because, as I said in the past, I would never have had as many. And many of them were serious, not just, throw you a bone sort of thing. But, like yesterday's interview, I told the woman, I'm surprised to hear from her because she had sent me an email. And this was a few days after they had already sent a response denying my application, saying they weren't interested in my application. They found someone else. So when I brought that up to her yesterday, she said, no, she never sent it, or she'll have to check her files.
Oh, boy.
So what I'm saying is hacking was the big issue and I'm sure I missed a lot of opportunities trying to reach out to people that I wanted to see or who might have wanted to hire me. But because of the hacking issues, I haven't been able to. Another thing is, find out, April, if you don't mind me addressing you, from your former employer, what they're saying about you. Because you have a lot of job experience, and unless you're crossing over into a different type of field, which might be problematic because it's a different field, even though you have a lot of experience, get your employer to write you a letter of reference or recommendation and put it on paper so that you can submit that when you go to interview for different types of work and say, hey, my employer says I have all this experience and they said I did a great job and so on and so forth. Get them to hold them to it, and ask them why they eliminated an assistant managerial position, especially for the kind of company you worked for. It's not unheard of to have an assistant managerial position. That's a very important position to have. So those are just my thoughts.
Thanks, Josephine. Appreciate that. Did
All
someone
right.
else have a hand up? Was it Ralph? Ralph, is your hand up?
Ralph,
I think I see a hand up over there, but not sure if
I got
Ralph.
a hand up and there's still,
Okay, well, maybe Ralph had to drop off. Just, sort of a spin-off to April and everyone else on something Josephine said. If you are on LinkedIn, I certainly hope that you are. Make sure that you're really getting full mileage out of your LinkedIn profile. There are a lot of different sections. One of the sections that you can really get a lot of mileage out of, I think it's called Endorsements. I haven't looked at it in a while. I think it's called Endorsements. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's a LinkedIn pro. It's a section where people that have worked with you and know you well can actually write a paragraph about you. You
that's
approved it.
called a recommendation.
Recommend it. Okay, I was
Skills
calling
and
it the wrong thing.
endorsements are on there, and you
Yeah.
can request
Yes.
the person endorse you for a skill that you choose. But recommendation is where they're writing
Where
something.
they're writing out a paragraph. Yeah. In fact, both are good. Where somebody endorses you for a skill and writes up a little write-up about you, something to the effect of, I worked with April from this year to that year. She was, my blankety blank, my assistant manager. She was great to work with and has all these wonderful qualities, and they spell them out. And recruiters I've talked to actually read those, especially if you are in their top search results for a search that they're running for a client that has an opening they're helping to fill. You
are absolutely right, Terry. The videos that I do have on my YouTube channel, Christine Dykman YouTube, they go through all of the parts of job search, and LinkedIn is a big deal. It's bigger than a reference letter. And so therefore, you as a job seeker should have all the pieces filled out on your LinkedIn profile. If you, Sam, I'm going to call out you. Sam has an awesome LinkedIn profile. Check his out. If you want to connect with people or share on LinkedIn, then definitely follow different career coaches, see what they're saying, and people that are experts in the field, such as, was it Maria? What did you mention earlier? I'm sorry, Terry. I put it in the chat. there's a lot of people that are always sharing and posting on LinkedIn. So Terry would be one of them. Definitely follow, see what he's saying, and make those connections as well. You never know what you're going to learn from a networking event. Even if it's one tip, it's worth your hour of time, because it could be two. And it could be your future job search buddy / best friend. Never know.
And I see Ralph put into the chat box what he had his hand up about. So everybody take a look at that. He says, just want to say two things. Number one, networking is key. Number two, never give up. Amen. Amen to that. I totally support that, Ralph. Networking, that's where it's at. And yes, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Don't take no for an answer. Reach out to people that you want to connect to. Don't, to the point about hacking, don't rely upon technology for the reach out. Better to pick up the phone and call that person directly, or call somebody who knows that person, and ask them to introduce you.
What's old is new again. Is that
Exactly.
the way 2022 is? Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Judy has a hand raised. She will be our last question.
Okay.
And
Judy.
before we have to let Terry go, because it is his birthday and all, but go ahead, Judy.
Well,
Judy.
can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. This may be more touchy-feely, but I just want to say to people, be kind to yourself.
Yes.
Sometimes we all have bad days, but that's a day. Tomorrow's a different day. And kind of manage those expectations. Sometimes little steps forward are better than none. And the latest thing I learned, don't laugh, my Hallmark Channel wisdom for the day is, no one wants you to fail.
That's true.
Nobody
Oh my
wants
goodness.
you to
I want to just like reach out and give you a hug, Judy.
Thank you for that, Judy. That to me sounds like good stuff.
Absolutely.
I wish you all a happy, healthy new year, and to you, Terrence, a very happy, healthy birthday and many more.
Thank you so much, Judy, and happy new year to all of you. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Christine, thank you for the invitation. And I want you to have a great 2022.
Thank you. And we will, well, I'll call on you to come back.
Be happy to.
Do some more presentation. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you can join us next week. All right. Take care, everyone.